This is Bible Munch. And it says, Dear Dads, for Father's Day 2020, be the gift. Stop the fatherless epidemic. Okay. Pastor will be telling us about the fatherless epidemic, but at no point does the good pastor tell us what the problem is. It's the men's fault. Okay, take it away, Pastor.
Dear Dads, it's no secret that fatherlessness is one of the greatest epidemics of our time.
What is the cause, though, Pastor? Could you explain what the possible reasons behind the fatherless epidemic that we're having? Now, are you referring to men who boom and take off and they're never seen again and the mother's left there and all that stuff? Okay, yeah, I understand there is a percentage of these men that do such things. I don't know how they get away with it, because if they can be tracked, they will pay, because that's the way it works. You can't get away scot-free anymore. Unless maybe you're, from a different country, they come in and you're gone. Well, then you're. But really, the biggest part of the fatherless epidemic is not that.
Did you know children living in fatherless homes are nearly 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime?
Yeah, that's terrible. It is terrible. So are we going to address the problem, the cause of the problem, Pastor? Or are we going to gloss that over and just tell men we need to be better? Go on.
They are at dramatically greater risk of drug and alcohol abuse, more than twice as likely to commit suicide.
That is terrible. So when are we going to address the cause of the problem, Pastor?
And 20 times more likely to end up in prison. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. And children who grow up in those homes are much more likely to experience sexual assault, child maltreatment, and other types of major violence.
Yeah, why do you suppose that would be? If there's not a father there, that means mother's taking care of the children. Do you think it's possibly from some of the men she brings into the home that might... No.
Adding to that, sexual activity and teen pregnancy are much higher for girls who live in father-absent homes.
Yeah. And the cause of this problem is what, Pastor?
While those facts are known and true, unfortunately, there isn't much we can do for all the fatherless children everywhere individually.
That's not really true, though, is it? Because you see what my point has been, and I think you've already caught my drift. The cause of fatherless homes is women. Men in the United States, we have no reproductive rights, okay? So say you're having activity with a female and she gets pregnant. For example, I can't tell her I don't want to be a father. I can't tell her, I'll pay for your abortion. I can't tell her to do anything. And so if she has a baby and she chooses to remain single, that would mean the father isn't in the home, Pastor. Now, you're probably going to say, and a lot of people say, well, men need to take responsibility for their, PPs and wear condoms and do it. And you're absolutely 100% right. But the man isn't the one getting pregnant. Both should participate in safe sexual activity. But the female is the one that's going to have to deal with the pregnancy. She has all the reproductive choice. So if she decides to have a baby without a man in the house, do you see that might cause some of this problem, Pastor? So while you don't jump out and push it on men that we need to do, well, you kind of do. But the cause of the issue is partially men's fault, but it is 100% female fault. Go on.
However, we can change the reality for our kids. Young boys need a role model. A man they can aspire to be like. A man who boldly faces the challenges of life and shows them how to push through adversity.
They do need that, and so do girls.
A man who models integrity, demonstrates humility, and loves God and his family unconditionally. Young girls need to know how a real man acts.
Yeah, but you see, Pastor, you may have noticed out here in the rest of the country, being a man is being demonized. We are scum. We are toxic. We are violent. And I think you have a little bit of the mindset that you believe a lot of the fatherless households are caused by these men who come in and leave. What about divorce, Pastor? Do you think there's a lot of that going on, where the mother almost automatically gets custody of the kids, and the father, if he's lucky, might be able to see his kids a couple times a week, maybe once a month, maybe never? So, if the role model is not allowed to interact with his children, how are they supposed to learn from him?
Reacts to the demands of this challenging world. A man who shows them what genuine love and care for them looks like.
Yeah, it's great. What if he's prevented from seeing his children, Pastor? What about that? I had visitation rights with my child when I got divorced. And when I went to take that right and go see my child, the state wouldn't tell me where she was. The mother was under court order to provide visitation so I could see my child, yet she wouldn't tell me where she was, and the state wouldn't either. That was 1987, Pastor. I suspect things haven't gotten a lot better in the interim.
A man by whom she can measure all other men that enter her life. A father who puts God first and prioritizes leading his family above everything else.
Except God, but go ahead.
For those of you who are doing this, well done. Do not quit.
Well, we're not going to. It's our children. However, there are some, maybe the government, maybe it's feminism, maybe something like that. But a couple of decades ago or three, there's something called no-fault divorce came up. If we made it harder for people to get divorced, Pastor, wouldn't that also reduce the number of fatherless households? Yes? What about almost automatic child custody given to the mother? What if we did something about that, Pastor? That would kind of change things a little bit, wouldn't it? But nobody is doing anything about that. Because we live in a matriarchal society, a gynocentric society that caters to the whims of women. And so if women want something from the government, they get it. Men, however, are disposable and they don't care. Even though we do vote for them, that doesn't seem to make any difference, does it? You know? I don't understand.
Never underestimate the good you are doing and the future you are helping to secure for your family. Because of what you're doing, the world is a better place for all of us, but especially for your kids.
You probably need to stop with this assumption in your head that fatherless homes are caused by the guy who flies in from, Venezuela, spends the weekend in the United States, has sex with a woman, she gets pregnant, he goes back home. That is not the majority of where fatherless homes come from. Pastor, they come from women deciding to have children out of wedlock and easy, simple divorce. Almost painless. If she wants to check out of a marriage, she gets cash and prizes. And the children. So there are much bigger things to talk about with respect to this epidemic of fatherless homes. You do not address any of those in your video. At the very minimum, you should understand that a lot of fathers want to spend time with their children, but they are prevented by the family court and by the stupid divorce laws and all of that stuff. I would like to hear you address that. I mean, certainly we could pray to God. Sure, read the Bible. Fantastic. Go run ahead. But Jesus at the moment is not writing the laws with respect to child custody. I'll put the link below. You can watch the video. James Maxwell, thank you for listening.